lovelies, you're here in spooky season. We've transformed again because today we're obviously covering pirates. And the thing is that pirates were not the anarchists that we like to believe they were. Oh no, we're going to be learning a lot today because we have been living a lie. They were actually much more like the hustle culture of Silicon Valley than we want to believe. So they basically did whatever they could to get rich legitimately in order to be able to have a nice piece of land, get all the resources, get all the good stuff. You need to think more along the lines of Bezos, Gates, Jobs, and Elon Musk in terms of like the kind of people that like were successful pirates, okay? So yeah, is your image kind of shattered? Yeah, good. So we're going to be talking about it. So these were people that bought land, they bought cattle, they had good allies on the ground, and they didn't really want to ruffle any feathers because they wanted to be up in that plumage. They actually even got jobs in positions of power, would you believe? And as I mentioned last week, we are now indeed in a time where pirates do still exist. I did tell you that we'd be covering one that isn't actually such a myth, and that's not these. But the thing is that today they're basically doing it out of necessity and fear, and we will of course be talking about that because we do talk about social issues on this channel. What we're doing is we're recreating this look, which is inspired by this, which was as voted by you in my Instagram polls, and also the title of this video was chosen by you again here on YouTube. So follow me on both, don't forget to like and subscribe. So anyway, without any further ado, everything I've used on my face is cruelty-free, vegan, not owned by parent companies, test not animals, and all of my sources are in the description box down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe or I'll plunder your booty. I feel like I should have been drinking rum this whole time, but it's just been tea. Yo-ho, yo-ho. A pirate's life wasn't it. Do you remember last week where we talked about the golden age of fairy tales? There was a golden age of pirates as well. The image that we have of pirates is actually very different from reality. Despite us celebrating Talk Like a Pirate Day on the 19th of September every year, ye old scurvy sayings like that were actually from just like a decade of time, from 1716 to 1726. And it was in that decade where there was actually a crackdown on pirates. And legitimately, it's like that was actually the only time period where you had like the infamous people that you'll definitely have heard of. You know, like Blackbeard being Edward Teach in reality, Bartholomew Roberts, and female pirates like Anne Bonny and Mary Read. All of these legendary people lived very dangerously. Like they lived what we think of pirates today. The main thing about these people is that they were actually kind of the exceptions, not the rule, which is exactly why they were so mythologized. So for example, Blackbeard, like he liked to use tactics of intimidation and reputation to fight his battles for him, as opposed to like just going straight out with violence. In particular, he did not like hand-to-hand combat. He used to use like things like strategies instead, and he had such a reputation about him as being like one of the absolute most scary people alive. Like there was reportedly he put like matches in his beard so it looked like he was literally ablaze. Like that's the kind of intimidation tactic. I mean, like WWE would never. Bartholomew Roberts actually caught and robbed more ships than Blackbeard himself. And then there's also Anne Bonny, who has a lot of speculation about her life because there's not much that's actually in formal records about her. But she was actually on Blackbeard's crew along with Mary Read. And both of these two ladies, because you know, like they knew how to play the system, being the very intelligent women that they were. So when they all got caught, instead of them having to go sleep with the fishes, pun very much intended there, these ladies both said that they were pregnant, and because like this is back in the day, they were like, oh, we can't kill an innocent baby, and so that got delayed. And one of them, I think it was Anne Bonny, it was one of them that actually escaped, and no one actually knows what happened to her after this time. So you've got like these ones, but again, very much the exception. Now, a lot of what I'm going to be citing from now on is from this incredible website that I found from this person that actually wrote their dissertation on pirates. Mark G. Hanna is now Associate Professor of History at the University of California, San Diego. Now, look, the thing is, I'm not diving into like each of these individual pirates. I was just giving you the cliff notes, and they've all got their own videos anyway. Like, if you're interested in them, they have their own Wikipedia pages. And also there's one more who wasn't listed here because this is a very Eurocentric kind of view. She's known as the Pirate Queen, Ching Shi, and she was possibly like the most like successful pirate ever. So yeah, so pirates are not as anarchist or as down with the system as what we all think. Like I was honestly fully ready to be writing a video all about why it is that we romanticize pirates in such a way when they were actually terrible people, and go into like the psychology of it all. They actually really wanted to just like get their bag and like be able to get legitimized on land, because that's a big thing here. Pirates actually just wanted to be part of the gentry. For the most part, like they went and did all this stuff. A lot of them used to work in like the Navy and stuff, but then they figured they could actually make more money by switching over to piracy, so that's what a lot of them actually did. Because hey, you know what, you can like earn a pitiful wage risking your life on the sea because it was very dangerous, like, and you already had the skill set, so why not go be with the pirates, be able to actually go up in rank, because this is of course in the time of the 1600s where your position in life was decided and all of that other stuff. So they were like, well, I'm going to be an entrepreneur about it. And so that's exactly what they did. So in the 17th century, coming across pirates was so normal. It was basically like, you know, like when you go into a city and there's pigeons everywhere? That's how many pirates there were around. It was just so commonplace, they didn't even bother on reporting on it all that much, because it's like, oh well, it's just another day, another plunder, whatever. There were actually a lot of people in high places who had pirates as their son-in-laws even. So next time your caregiver like starts like hating on your partner, just tell them that they're not a pirate at least. So there was James Brown, who was a pirate who actually married the daughter of a governor in Pennsylvania, and they were appointed to the Pennsylvania House of Assembly. Yeah, so that whole image of unruly pirates everywhere, no. This was your way to be able to get around the system. Now she's gone darker, but I really want to use this because so pirates actually were businessmen and women. Rich people loved people that committed piracy. So it was actually the people on the ground that were starting the riots and having this whole class like uprising against the rich, who were overtaxing them, who were taking their land, who were stealing their teeth, who were doing all sorts of terrible stuff because, you know, they're the rich and they think they own everything. Oh my god, we're still living in the same time apparently. So it wasn't actually the ones that were sailing the seas and spending their money on land that they wanted to like stop, because by actually supporting the pirates and buying the things from them that were looted, they could get things at a cheaper price. They could make like all sorts of really useful trade deals for them with this. So it's like, well, why would you not want the piracy? When you get a better cut, they get a better cut. And it also means that you don't need to pay taxes to the royals, but you get to keep more for yourself, because that's how rich people work. I'll quell my socialist stance for the end, okay? And also pirates needed ports to be able to fix their ships, you know? And they also needed places to be able to spend their money. It wasn't actually as grape and pillage as what you may think and what we've been told. Like I said, there definitely was some of that happening, but it wasn't quite in the same way that everyone these days thinks of it. Because most of them just wanted to get that bag to get that good life on land that they wouldn't have gotten if they'd have just stayed in the Navy or done their regular jobs. They really did just want to be able to make their bag and get that good life back on land. But the thing is that a lot of them couldn't actually return to their homes. So for example, like London was definitely off limits. Like there's no way in hell you'd be able to go back there. And there was actually a petition from 48 pirate wives who were trying to get their husbands to be able to come home. But would the royals allow it? No! So what did they do? The pirates had to go further seas, or even to different places in the UK. Chapter 2. Legitimize Piracy. You wouldn't steal a car. Well actually, you could always ransom it, and people too, and make money from that, or even straight up steal it, along with all of the silks, pearls and gold. So at Devon and Cornwall in the UK, which are on the south coast, which is where we would holiday when I was a kid, they actually had active protection over pirates during the Elizabethan reign. And these were actually known as pirate nests. And then with James I coming along and Puritanism rising in Ireland, that kind of put a stop to all the fun. Because James really wanted that tax money and he's like, I don't like these pirates. So then the pirates had to go further ashore. So think of Jamestown. Yes, I think it was actually that one. They went to Boston, New Plymouth and Bermuda, and then when Jamaica was taken over in 1655, they went over there too. During this time, Henry Morgan's attacks there against the Spanish, because it had become a well-known pirate's nest, were actually defended by the colony's governor and council. People like Moses Butterworth went and stationed themselves in the Indian Ocean and Madagascar. So basically it's like the pirates were just trying to spread out. So whatever James I was doing was actually just spreading the quote-unquote evil everywhere else. So then in 1696 Parliament really decided, we are done with this, we are over this. So they had a plan to oust the pirates. And what were they met with? Riots. People really did not want pirates to go, I'm telling you. So the royalists and the colonial elites, the ones who supported the pirates, actually went into battle over this, like legit. And then after this, all of the people that were on the pirate side were slowly convinced that, oh well, I mean like, I guess like the slow long-term gains would actually be better than like the short-term big buck of like supporting the pirates, like, yeah, sure, I'll do what you want, Kingy. I'll follow your way, Jamesy. So this actually had such a big impact that a pirate who was captured called Moses Butterworth, who went into prison in 1701, he got released in 1704 and the pirate became the pirate hunter. People wouldn't really want to join on just to pay more tax, right? Like, that can't be the full story. Nay, it's not. Well, I've been watching too much Bailey Sarian to quote her like that, haven't I? Do you know what the real thing that was convincing? The slave trade. Yeah, commercialization. Ooh, people really wanted to be able to make their bag with that because they're like, ooh, actually, well, I want to start sending stuff around the place, and if pirates are pillaging everything, then I'll lose my own stuff. So therefore all of the people at the top who had, of course, benefited from pirates, a lot of whom were actually pirates themselves in a past life, they turned on their own kind in order to sell people and sell things. So that's cool. And so this is where you get a lot of the imagery from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, because, yeah, you know, there was a lot of people being made into fertilizer then, and like all of the people being used as warnings in very visual and scary ways. Like, yep, that was happening then. I'm having to really censor what I say right now because I would like to be able to make money on this video. So piracy ultimately is pretty political, hey? We need to clean up now. I need to clean up before I can do my blush. Be right back. I did try, but you know, what are you gonna do? I'm not a professional. The current day pirates. Because yes, if you did not know, they do still actually exist, but not unlike the romantic way that we like to think of. They were much more prevalent in the 2000s, with a peak in 2008, in particular in Somalia, but they're still definitely a threat today, and it's something that we need to talk about. And the thing is that piracy is much more complex these days, because most people actually get into it out of necessity or out of fear. Because when you've got few other options, and then you've got all these huge commercial fishing boats actually coming in and stealing, like, literally like the fish that you need to survive, and destroying the ecosystem whilst you're at it, because like a huge trawler that literally drags across the ocean is going to do a lot more environmental damage, not only for like where the fishes live, but also just overall, which people again need to survive on. It's literally stealing the food from their mouths and destroying the ecosystem, meaning that those fish actually can't return, or if they can return, it's in very depleted numbers, they grow smaller, all sorts of like huge impacts to illegal fishing. If anyone goes telling me, oh, but you're vegan, I actually addressed this stuff in my vegan video, so in case you're wondering, all the answers are up there. Before writing this script, I actually did not know how much of the sea was quote-unquote free. Like, maritime law rules most of the ocean, but piracy flourishes in areas where you've got these contested borders. Like, I did not know how many contested borders there were all around. Like, in this map which I'm showing you right now, there are so many different ways of like being able to tell, and they all cross over each other, and where the pirates are flourishing is where you actually have these contested borders. Because, you know, with politics getting involved, it means that like a coast guard or a navy or whatever cannot actually go over like this border with this contested border in particular, because, you know, politics means that you actually can't go chasing people from one border to another. And I just realized that that looks like I've got little wings coming at my head. Oh my gosh. So coordinated attempts between countries and coast guards is actually something that's been attempted. However, sometimes the animosity between the countries actually means that this is not something that's possible. I mean, it's like, it means that you need to actually deal with your enemy, and it's like, think about your worst enemy. Would you want to like work with them and help them capture someone that went from their place to your place, even though they're not actually doing you any damage? And you're just like, so how many of my own people do I want to lose to be able to help you out when you're my enemy and I actually believe that I own more of your ocean? You know what I mean? It's like, it just makes you think of like divorced parents like arguing over who gets what plate and who messed up the child more, even though you should have really probably had your demons sorted before you actually procreated. But whatever, I don't know anything. The UN has actually been working in this area for a very long time, along with the ICC International Maritime Bureau, IMB. So there are actually particular hotspots of focus. The Gulf of Guinea, which is off the coast of Africa, accounted for nearly half of all piracy recorded crimes in the first 3 months of 2021, so this year. I just like to say the year in case people are watching this in the future. Somalia actually used to also be a huge hotspot, with that being the most popular area for pirate attacks in the year 2008. But luckily that figure has been getting lower and lower thanks to a lot of deterrents in place. Singapore Straits and Indonesia are also big hotspots for pirates as well. Even though again, like, those numbers have been falling, it's still absolutely a risk. The biggest key deterrent is actually navies with armed guards. Like, that's the biggest reason that people are seemingly getting out of, like, piracy. It's not the fact that there are more jobs that they can do, it's not the fact of anything else, other than, of course, like, the prisons are having a big impact as well, because, like, the treatment in a prison is not all that great. The bigger issue here, which I really want to raise, is that people are getting into this because they need to survive. In my mind, like, you can't punish one thing without providing an alternative that is, like, easily accessible to people. And as always, I prefer a much more holistic approach to things, where you have, like, these bigger issues of systemic oppression actually being addressed, to actually make sure that people don't feel like they have to resort to piracy. Like, people do not risk their lives for nothing. Seriously. I'm not saying that what modern day pirates are doing is right. This is so old, do not do what I'm doing. So why do we romanticize them? Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Just in the same way that people had this huge crush on David Bowie when he was hip thrusting his way through Labyrinth in a very uncomfortable age gap relationship whilst he was twirling his, like, glowing balls around, people loved the makeup wearing, rum loving, devil may care swagger of Johnny Depp. But it goes, like, beyond looks, which always it should. Pirates symbolize freedom and brotherhood and adventure on the seas and just being able to do, like, basically anything that you wouldn't be able to do on land. Like, you don't abide by laws, you live by a code. You get to day drink, you get to do whatever the hell you want, and you're actually sticking it to the man, right? Basically, it's what any midlife crisis person would really want to be able to do, but they get stuck buying a Harley or an expensive car instead. Gen X, it's knocking on the door, just waiting for it. You know, the whole no responsibilities, man, sort of approach, because you're sticking it to the man by stealing the riches. Like Robin Hood, but of the sea, like sexier. Or like the cool Captain Hook, who's really just a boomer yelling at kids. The reality of it all was a lot more grunt work, a lot more scurvy, like absolutely terrible conditions, fiscal responsibility, networking, which is the worst thing ever. I don't know why people say that you should do it. And of course blackmail if you got good enough at it. Now look, you may lose a leg or an eye, but like the rum was good if you're in that part of the world, right? It's a sexier way of being down with the man, but with like better job prospects than actually being like the burnouts of the 90s movies. Now for all that I am this meme right here, the system I don't like is oppressive capitalism. It keeps everyone down except for a select few and allows privileges to some. I'm no anarchist. I am too much of a scaredy cat for that. But socialism and justice for the oppressed and legitimate climate action, I'm all here for, and that's a system unto itself, actually, because it would actually be penalising the people that are at the top right now. So what do you think about pirates now you've learnt some more? I have one more fun fact for you. You never stop learning on this channel. So you know the whole thing about pirates and parrots and monkeys and stuff? Yeah, that was true. That really happened. And it actually became like quite a trade for them because they'd be able to more easily, in particular with parrots, they could take parrots back home. Parrots were easily trainable and they could sell them for a pretty penny. So there you go. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave a parrot emoji or an anchor. There's no pirate ship or pirate flag that I could find. Or I did also see like this hook emoji. Good luck for finding it because it's like really hidden down there with the chains and stuff. If you do recreate this look, it's not really me that created it, I've just butchered it, honestly. It's Apropro Makeup. I'll of course have their Instagram down below for you, go check out their work because it's amazing. This was just my butchered job of trying to recreate it and make this piratey. So speaking of sexiness of the sea, next week we're talking about mermaids, which is something I'm very excited to talk about, and then the week after is witches. It's all happening on this channel. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I come up with new videos every single Tuesday, and on Sundays I do my little reviews as well of products that I've been trying out for a long time. Thank you lovelies once again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye! This is a lot. I'm very glad that I'm going to be spending my day at home just meal prepping and cleaning for the rest of it, because if I went out in the real world I think I'd get even more weird looks than what I normally do. So what we're doing is black fingernails, a red one, I'm gonna make ya all mine. Just in the same way that everyone had a crush on Bowie, hip